What's going on, Shelter family? It's Pastor Jay here for your Friday, May 1st. Wow, 2020, 6 at 6. Can you believe we're already to May? Blows my mind, man. So glad that you've been tuning in this entire week. I hope that you've been enjoying this little bit of a series that we're going to extend out for a while on the concept of, is it living? And when we're talking about is it living, of course we know our physical body is living, but what we're really asking is your walk with the Lord living? Is it the right way? And we've gone through this filter of different things that make for an organism to actually be living. And this entire week we focused on one word, and that is the word of movement. And so it's been really cool to work with Chris and Kim and kind of their additions in this. Of course, Kim talked about the idea of being lukewarm and how lukewarmness really is a major enemy to the idea of movement, right? I talked about having at the beginning of the week the concept of having a governor, having something that's your true north, where we're to draw near to God, and that be our constant move every day, even if it's just 1 inch closer. Each day we're supposed to be drawing near to Him, and then He will draw near to us. And of course, Chris has mentioned the idea of inertia this week, and then he took it a little bit further when he mentioned about Abraham. And I thought it was so cool that he talked about Abraham's story and how it started really when he was 70 years old. That God was actually asking a 70-year-old man to begin to move, to have active steps of faith that far down the road of his life. And so this awesome idea of movement really needs to penetrate our minds and our souls, knowing that each day we're supposed to move forward. And so I thought I'd close out this week with maybe something on the other side of the coin. And that is the idea of rest and sleep and rejuvenation. I read this study out of the University of Wisconsin that came out last year about something in our brain called the glymphatic system. And it's the space between cells, between brain cells. And our brain cells actually produce waste. I had no idea. They produce waste as they just perform nominal everyday tasks. And the only way that this waste gets removed from the system is actually when you and I rest, when you and I shut our eyes, turn our minds off, and sleep. And usually it happens during that REM sleep. It started to get me thinking about this, that many times I think rest is kind of overlooked in our society, especially in American society. You know, you talk to people that have gone to Italy or different places around the globe, like it seems like there is a real premium, almost a real stance on the idea of what rest does for the soul, what does for the spirit man. But I think in America, we wear our busyness many times as a badge. I know for me, this has been a massive hurdle in my life. Frankly, if I don't accomplish something or don't find myself every minute being activated, I find myself sometimes not as happy with who I am inside. But God has really, really challenged me. And I think He's really, really challenged us through this coronavirus, this ultimate reset. We're all walking through it. And a lot of us have been forced to actually rest, to stop. And again, this is not something new. This is something that I believe has been going on for centuries. Jesus even mentioned this in Mark chapter 2 and verse 25. He's having this conversation with his disciples, and it's being overheard by people that were criticizing him because him and his disciples stopped and picked fruit off a tree to eat on the Sabbath day. And someone questioned his motives and what he was doing there. And Jesus said this, "Haven't you ever read in the scriptures what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He went into the house of God and broke the law by eating the sacred loaves of bread that only priests are allowed to eat. He also gave some to his companions." And then Jesus said to them, "The Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man, I am Lord even over the Sabbath." What's the concept here? Well, obviously Jesus is dealing with different levels of religiosity here. He's basically going after the Pharisees and how they've put man-made rules that are equatable to the Lord and that becoming their God. But on a secondary level, he's saying this, hey, God, my Father, we've created the Sabbath for you to actually stop. I don't believe there is much more of a healthy activity when you stop and intentionally find yourself being grateful for what God has given you. That only happens for me personally when I'm not doing something, when I'm actually not moving. So the key with this whole week about movement, I want you to see the balance side of it. And that is for you to actually stop, to take a deep breath, turn off your phone, and rest. It is in that place that I believe our soul finds its peace that God can bring us. It is in that moment where I actually feel we can hear the Lord. And it is in that moment that we're, I believe, where we're going next week with this whole series, where we truly can grow. Hey, listen, I love you, church. I hope that you have just planned to be part of the service on Sunday morning this week. We're going to be talking about Under Armor again, the armor of God, and what our role is with that whole thing. I wanted to mention to you that tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning at 8:30, if you have opportunity, if you've just been clamoring to get out of the house and serve, we're going to Northtown and doing yard work. We've got 5 or 6 homes led by Dave Kroll and the crew there. You can meet at the church at 8:30. And the other thing I want to show you here is just some instruction for Monday. As you know, I've called for our church to take the entire day of Monday for prayer and for fasting. And so what you see on this slide here, and you can go onto our website or onto our app to really sign up for an hour block of time that you will be counted on to pray for our leadership in our country, in our state, in our churches, in our school, and in our families. But I also want you to see some of these concepts that we have in regards to fasting and prayer and the vital importance that it is. Listen, I love you guys. I know I say that all the time, but I think I want to make sure that you always know where I stand when it comes to you. We are here for you, and we love you. We will see you Sunday morning.